So today we have Rachel Churko. Rachel's an owner-operator with StudentWorks in the Haliburton area. She's a student at Queen's in her second year of biology, and this is going to be her second year starting her business. So Rachel, what were you doing before you started out with the StudentWorks management program?
I was actually teaching a dance camp. So I've danced competitively for about 16 years. So back in Haliburton at my dance studio, there's a summer camp for little kids. And they usually just get some of the senior dancers to run it during the summer. So I was doing that, and I had about 24 kids from the ages 2 to 12. So it was a pretty big age range, and it gave me like a lot of different responsibilities came along with it, and a lot of different experience as well. And then that was for half the summer, and then the other half I was working in a local grocery store. Just,
okay.
Selling stuff.
Yeah, the normal student
grocery,
jobs.
Yeah.
And so why did running a business appeal to you? Why did that kind of attract you? Why did you decide to go towards that area?
Yeah, well, honestly, it wasn't my plan when I heard about the summer management program. My dad actually runs a business in Haliburton. He runs an electrical company called Churko Electric. And I always thought that is not what I was going to do. He always wanted me and my brother to take over the business and keep it going, family history. And I told him, I was like, I am not in electrical. I don't want to run a business. I love science. It's like one of my biggest passions in life, and I never wanted to give that up. And I still don't, but now I'm just realizing that there are ways to incorporate business and science in a bunch of different fields. So once I got started with the summer management program, I kind of really decided to go for it after the phone interviews and having conversations with key people like Hannah and Devin and Chris, and just all of the skills that they said would come along with it, and just the opportunity to learn so much. I knew one summer would equate to years of learning different skills. So I decided to go with it when I heard about that, just to bump my resume, but also just to gain the skills and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. How did you come to find out about it?
I got a clipboard in one of my lecture halls, and when it came around, it said, "Do you want to make 20 grand this summer?" And I was like, "Who doesn't want to make 20 grand in a summer?" So I signed my name and wrote my phone number down, and I honestly did the same thing for almost all the clipboards that came around, because a lot of them were research opportunities and stuff as well. And then I was actually on a train ride back to Kingston, and I was sleeping, and I somehow randomly just woke up and my phone was ringing, and it was on silent, but I woke up and my phone was ringing, and I answered it, and it was the summer management program saying, "Hey, do you want to come for an information meeting?" And I just thought, wow, that was really weird that I woke up at the exact time that they called me. So I was like, yeah, I'll come by and just see what it is, hear about it. And then with every information meeting after that, it was more like, yeah, this is something I want to do. Yes, the whole, this is going to be the hardest thing in your life really appealed to me. Because I was like, yes, I want to challenge myself. I want to gain the skills to do what I can. I want to be the best that I can be. And so a place like that really challenges you, that's what I always look for. So.
Okay. And so what were you actually most concerned about when you got started?
I think I was most concerned about being in charge of so much. I've always been kind of a natural leader in sports and school and all of that, but being in charge of people's safety was a big thing I was really nervous about. And then also just being in charge of keeping people happy and making sure everyone was happy with the work. Also because I live in such a small town, everyone knows everyone. So I really wanted to keep that good Churko reputation that my dad had set before me. And I really didn't want to mess that up for him or I. So that was probably the biggest concern of mine, but it's not a concern anymore. It's been great so far.
So how were you actually supported through the whole process of running your first business?
I was very well supported. I had my first contact was with Hannah. She actually did my phone interview and sat down with me to go over everything. And then I got paired up with Devin as my district manager. And I still kept in contact with Hannah just for a few things because, she just was so knowledgeable. She'd been here for 5 years. So, but other than that, Devin was really my go-to guy, and I called him all the time. And everyone always says, I call my district manager way too much, and I probably did, but he loves it, and it's always a good chat. So if I have anything that I'm like worried about or want to talk about, I just call him and then we figure it out and then we have a regular conversation. So it's not like stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also reached out to a lot of other operators. I know Matt, he operates in Huntsville, which is like the closest thing to Halliburton.
Yeah.
So I know we kind of talked a lot, being like, when you're in a small town, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to recruit? What are you doing for all this? I know recruiting was a big issue for both of us in such a small town, so we kind of shared some ideas and it just kind of helped out a little bit. But yeah, and then through every process, like Devin came and did estimates with me. Devin came to my first job site and made sure everything was running smoothly, taught me about all the safety stuff. We did some trainings with him in Toronto. We did some trainings in Toronto with the whole company. So it's a very tight-knit community that give you a lot of support throughout the whole thing.
So what would you say was the hardest lesson that you had to learn from running your business?
Oh, I think the hardest lesson would be around being that leader for your painters, because you're not just in charge. You're there to lead them and inspire them and help them figure out what their goals are and help them reach their goals. And that wasn't sort of my first initial response to being in charge. I really wanted respect from my painters, and the like whole command respect thing was like in my brain from I don't even know my past business experience. But so I kind of started out that way and then slowly realized like this is not good. Like that's just not a healthy relationship to have with your painters. So then you really have to start leading and inspiring, and if the relationship isn't like reciprocated and if you're not on the same page, then maybe it's not the best scenario for both of you and you can change that. But yeah, it was basically just making sure that I had a really tight connection with my painters.
Okay, and so what would you say has been the most useful thing you've taken away from the experience?
Honestly, at the same time as it being the most challenging, the most useful is leadership, because you can lead in any aspect of your life. Like we see people come into this conference who lead on social media, who lead in a business, who lead in companies, who lead everywhere. You can lead anywhere you are in school and with whatever. And that's what I've always been drawn to is as soon as I came into StudentWorks, my first thought, how do I get to be a DM? How do I get to be higher? Like you're always looking for something that's higher than what you are. And not necessarily because it's better, but just because you want to learn more. It's a different aspect of the company, right? Like whenever I join a position, I'd never want to stay in that same position. I want to like move around so I can learn everything and then find what's best suited for me. Obviously, I haven't found what I want to do with the rest of my life yet. So jumping from position to position really gives me a lot of experience so that when I do decide, I am well versed in everything.
Okay, sick. And so the last thing I was wondering is, obviously, you know, you're doing this year, you might do another year. What do you think you're going to do after, you know, you're done running your business? Where would you like to take this whole experience? What's next for you after this?
So this has been a big question in my head for the past few months. Like I said, I love science, and I never want to give that up. So I'm in a biology degree right now at Queen's. Genetics is my real passion, what I really want to do. I'm not sure if that entails research, genetic counseling. Like there's a whole bunch of jobs that could come of that. But I do love running the experience, or I love the experience of running my own business. So if I could combine that in any way, that would be fantastic. So like a few things have crossed my mind, like genetic counselor and having my own practice, or like a few different things, but mainly I want to be a leader. So if I do go into research, I want to be a leader in the lab. So it just depends, but whatever I do end up doing, like I'm definitely going to take everything I learned from StudentWorks and apply it to whatever I go into.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.